up, everybody? It's your boy C Sam's, and this is That Comic Talk. It's Father's Day, well, at least here in America. So for those in America, happy Father's Day. And for those around the world, happy Father's Day. Well, yeah, happy Father's Day. Anyway, fathers are very important. They're very important figures in the household. I'm a man. Someday I will be a father myself. I'm an uncle. I have a bunch of nieces and nephews and all that stuff. But, you know, I still consider myself to be a father figure. So today on That Comic Show, that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about some of the fathers of the MCU and the DCEU. Now, we're not talking about the actual comic books because that's a whole nother lore that we have to get into, and that's something we don't got time for. So we're going to only focus on the comic book movie genre and all the fathers that came along. Now, we don't have a lot of examples because they don't really focus on a lot of the fathers, but we do have examples of some fathers who made a great impact in the lives of some of the heroes that we look up to. So, let's get into it. Now, this is no particular order, so I'm just going to go through it. The first one we're going to talk about, Howard Stark. Howard Stark is the father of Tony Stark, aka Iron Man. We see him a little bit in the first Iron Man 2, and a little bit of Iron Man 3. We also see him in other movies as well. He was in Ant-Man, his face was in Spider-Man, so on and so forth. But Howard is a very, very strict and dedicated person. He's dedicated to his cause, he's dedicated to his company, and he's dedicated to his country. As a result, he didn't spend a lot of time with Tony. So Tony went on to resent his father, which is kind of the common story in most men. They resent their father for not spending a lot of time with them. So Howard Stark wasn't really there, but he did influence and inspire Tony Stark to be the person that he is today. In Iron Man 2, we actually see a glimpse of what he said to Tony. In one of the things that he was watching, one of those little movie things that he was watching, he looked into the camera and says, "Tony, you may not hear this by me, but I want to let you know you will always be my greatest creation." Now I'm paraphrasing it, but he basically said that you, Tony, are my greatest creation. And that kind of gave closure to Tony. I thought that was a pretty nice thing to put in the movies. So, Howard Stark, definitely a good father figure for the MCU. Yondu. Now, Yondu is a Ravager who actually takes up Peter Quill from Earth. Instead of delivering him to his original father, which is Ego, we're not going to get into Ego because he was just a horrible example of a father. He ended up taking Peter Quill into his own and raising him as if he's his own son. We see this in the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. When they're reminiscing and they're going back in time, you see Yondu teaching Peter as a kid, and you see that he saves him at the end. And he gives them the great line, "He may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy." In other words, he was trying to tell him, "I'm your father, I'm your daddy." So even though that's your real father and you want to make a connection to him, don't forget about the man who's been in your life the entire time. And then Yondu dies. Sad, sad, sad. But a great father figure nonetheless. T'Chaka. Now T'Chaka is the father of T'Challa, the Black Panther. We see a little bit of him in Civil War, and we also see a little bit of him in Black Panther. In the movie, we see that some of the things and some of the decisions he has to make as king was very hard. And when T'Challa goes back and sees all the things that his father did, especially to his cousin Killmonger and his father, he questions him. He says, "Dad, how could you allow this to happen? How could you leave a son, a boy, a child of Wakanda behind? How could you do that?" And his father had no words. He had no answer. So his father taught him a lesson by being a neglectful king and what he can do not to be like his father. Even though his father was a great man, his father made big and bad mistakes. And T'Challa was able to learn from those mistakes. And at the end of the day, that's what it's called being a father. You make mistakes, of course, but you also have to make sure that you make the best decisions possible. And that's exactly what T'Chaka did. Yeah, his examples wasn't the best, but he made sure he taught his son a valuable lesson on how to be a king and how to be a good person. Sort of. Magneto. Now, believe it or not, Magneto is a father in the comic book movie genre. We actually look at it in Apocalypse, X-Men Apocalypse, where Quicksilver is actually talking and he's saying, "Well, you know, Magneto is my dad." But he never tells him that Magneto is his father. He wanted to be there and say something, but he couldn't. And it was kind of messed up because he could have said something. He should have said something. But we also see a scene where Magneto is with his other family before they were killed. He's speaking to his daughter. He's singing to his daughter. He's trying to show his daughter the peaceful side of being a mutant. He also is showing her and telling her how he was in those camps with the Nazis. And he had a nice little touching moment. We see a soft side of Magneto. And when his family died, well, obviously he wilded out. But you see the type of compassion that he had for his children. And even though he didn't know that Quicksilver is his, because of the fact that he knew he had children, he had to stop what he was doing to fight with the only family that he had, which was the X-Men. Thomas Wayne. Now, Thomas Wayne is actually in the DC universe. We see him a little bit in the beginning of BVS when he protects his wife, but he still gets shot. I would love to see them do that flashpoint where Thomas Wayne is actually Batman. I think that would be awesome. But we see the type of defender the father is. Thomas Wayne is a doctor. Yet still he defended... Is he a doctor? Thomas Wayne defended his family. He stood in front of the gunman and protected his wife and protected his son. And as a result, lost his life. Because of that and what he witnessed, Bruce Wayne decided to become the Batman. All because of what his father did. His father wasn't a trained fighting professional. He stood in front of the gunman to make sure he would protect his family. And as a result, he lost his life in the process. Wolverine. Wolverine is actually a father, technically. At the end of Logan, we see him come to terms with the fact that Laura is actually his daughter. I mean, she has the claws and everything like that. At the end of the movie, he actually looks into her eyes and holds on to her, and as he's dying and everything like that, she utters the words, "Daddy," which was very touching. It was a sad moment. I cried. It was a sad moment. We also see in the movie before, which was the Wolverine, where Akura, forgot her name, where she pretty much said, "I saw the way you're going to die. You died with your heart in your hand. You was holding your own heart and it was in your hand and you died." That wasn't talking about this movie. It was talking about Logan. He was holding on to Laura's hand as he died. Such a touching story. But as a father, he wanted to protect her. And he didn't even understand how he was the father, but then he realized the connection that they had, which showed that, yeah, that's my daughter. Got some sad moments here. Jor-El. Jor-El is the biological father of Superman. He teaches Superman a couple of lessons when he was up in Zod's ship. During these lessons, he's talking to him and he's trying to explain to him that he could be a symbol of hope for the entire planet. That he could save the planet. The mistakes that his planet did, Jor-El's planet, Krypton did, doesn't have to be the same mistakes that Earth does, because the sun is going to be the deciding factor. He tried to endow his son with a lot of principle, a lot of hope, to believe in his abilities, and that he could do great things. Hopefully we'll be able to see more of that in the coming films for the DCEU. Jonathan Kent. Jonathan Kent is the other side of that coin. Now, when Superman reached Earth, he was a baby, so he had to be raised by somebody. So Jonathan Kent was his father figure. We see this father figure often tell him that he should hide his powers because the world is not going to be able to understand who he is. The world won't be able to bring him in because of the fact that nobody's ever seen somebody like this. And he tried to teach him these lessons, but honestly, I like the lessons that the original Jonathan Kent told him. That he could be a symbol as well. He could be a hero. People could look to him. This Jonathan Kent from this universe is a little doubtful, but it's alright. The two of them held a very important part in the making of Superman. It allowed him to express his power, to show his power, but also be compassionate and to be down to earth. He could relate to Earthlings because, hey, he was raised in Kansas. I think they did a great job. A little bit misconstrued on the message, but great job nonetheless. Now we have some honorable mentions. Now these father figures are not even related 100% to the actual character, but we're actually going to take a look at them. And we're going to start with Uncle Ben, Spider-Man. Spider-Man's Uncle Ben taught him a lesson that all of us can remember. With great power comes great responsibility. Professor X. Professor Xavier, Charles Xavier, is not a father. Well, in these movies, he's not a father, but he is a father figure. He has a university, and all these mutants who are scared of the world, scared to go around, scared to get out, come to him for comfort and understanding. That's exactly what he does. He does that for them all the time. And that's such a great thing to do. As a father figure, to be that type of support. And that's the support that all of them need. Alfred. Alfred is a father figure in the life of Batman. Alfred was there as the butler, but he was also there as a father figure. Now, we see a little bit of Alfred in BVS and everything like that in Justice League, but I really like the Alfred from The Dark Knight, Michael Caine. He was a great example of what a surrogate father should be. At the end of that, when he thought that Bruce Wayne died, he was so sad. He said, "I failed you." He was talking to the tombstones of the mother and father, Martha and Thomas Wayne. "I failed you. You trusted me, and I failed you." There's a lot of great father figures in the comic book genre. Too bad we don't really talk about them so often. But I hope you guys had an understanding of exactly what we were trying to convey today. Today's Father's Day. And even though it's all about the mothers in the comic book movie genre, well, maybe not that scene, but it's also about the fathers too. Believe it or not, the fathers make a very big impact and play a very important role in the development of all of these characters and who they are today. Let's continue to enjoy these movies. Once again, this is your boy Sam's. This is that Comic Talk. Happy Father's Day. Sam's out. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification button so you can know when we drop new stuff.